that way than run 26 miles, you know, and get all dog tired at the end of it. And actually you can cause a lot of injuries to your body. And
so how does that apply to the verbal?
Well, because it's the verbal level that drives you to do the marathon, not the physical level. Because if at the physical level, it's probably very painful and you wouldn't do a thing like that. But the verbal high that you get from it, telling your friends you run marathons every year and that you're able to do it. And I mean, there are a lot of people, for instance, who jog all their lives, and at a certain age in their life, for instance, when they're in their late 40s or early 50s, they lose their kneecap, cushion in their kneecap because they have overused it, and then they can't even stand for half an hour in some place. And this is exactly a verbal level motivation to act like a really individual who's very athletic, but you have really ruined the enjoyment of your life for the later part of your life when you cannot even walk properly. Or the accumulation of money is a similar example. You work yourself to death to acquire millions and millions of dollars when only hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands or scores of thousands are dollars enough. You don't have to go into 6 figures or 5 figures. 3 figures and 4 figure money with taking time off here and there would work just as well and would be much more enjoyable than to be making millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. And that is also verbal. For instance, somebody mentioned to me once that, recently actually, that barter would have been a better idea, where you just exchange eggs for milk and meat for clothing type of thing. So there at least your needs are being met in accordance with the goods and services that you are acquiring. But when it comes to accumulation of money, there is no end to the amount of money that you can accumulate, because you may accumulate much more than what you need. And so that is again a symbolic or verbal level behavior where we are having more fun but enjoying less type of thing, because verbally we are able to justify a lot of our excesses. So that was I could go into this subject more deeply and could analyze the working of the language more carefully, and I could give you evidence out of mathematics and scientific fields how verbalism over there gets them, even scientists, into trouble. I will just confine myself to the daily life, because no amount of exploring outer space or making beautiful cars, Model T would work just as well for us today as a 1998 model. All it does, it just goes much faster, way faster than we need to go fast, and our roads are clogged. We're moving on the average 30 miles an hour during rush hours, or not even that. And yet you are sitting in this time machine, so to speak, again at verbal levels. An old car with an old model, a 1946 clunker would work just as well. But we just need to be. I mean, we had model changes with cars, which was an American invention, and then Japanese carried it to even cameras and VCRs, and everything is now every yearly model changes, new televisions come out, and so we get unhappy with our older model of whatever we have.
No, Hamid, one thing I think about is that you said in the beginning of this part, you said that because we express verbally, we developed ourselves. We are not like the dog who is the same like the dog 1,000 years ago.
True.
So there seems to be a good side.
That's right.
to this verbalizing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and that good side has produced all this creature comforts that we have. If you look around your house, you are totally dependent on appliances that are driven by electricity. Mm-hmm. If we just have no electricity, none of the appliances would work. Mm-hmm. And all the appliances, just start thinking of each and every appliance. Without it, your life is so difficult. So here are the fruits of the labor of correct thinking. A toaster is not built out of just verbalizing. You actually think, that I need to have heat, and I need to put the toast in there and slice the bread and push the button down, and then it stays there for a few seconds until both sides are brown, and I can regulate the how brown it needs to be, and how white the slice might be, and so on and so forth. And there is no verbalism. It's all doing something. Somebody who had built the toaster, they said, I wanted to brown my slices from the bread and toast them, and then they had to go to work on silent level, and they had to create this contraption, which for $20 anybody can buy, and it works very well. And that's true of all the other appliances and gadgets we have. Then we take some verbalism, flight of fancy, where we begin to become unhappy just because the word unhappy exists, or word happy exists. For instance, here I am sitting down and enjoying my existence one way or the other, and somebody would ask me this question, but are you happy? Now, if I am not verbally oriented, I will not answer that question. I wouldn't even consider that question, answering that question. I am the way I am. But perfectly enjoyable moments and perfectly enjoyable life suddenly is turned over upside down, because the person has to answer this question suddenly. Am I happy? And the answer would be most probably that you are unhappy, actually, in spite of all these good things you have. So with words, we are able to...
that last thing I don't understand. Why would you be unhappy?
Because we have in our minds certain other ideas beside providing ourselves with good health and having good energy. We tend to seek something that is beyond this, and that is what the word happiness and unhappiness is attached to, as though there is something that is fleeting and that is difficult to capture. And so, do I have that? And if I cannot put my finger on it, I wouldn't even consider this. But then you will say, oh, am I enlightened or not? Or am I spiritually enlightened? Or if I am, and then people start thinking about, let's say, well, I'm happy now, but will I be happy in my afterlife? And so there is no end to the amount of concerns that you can bring to bear verbally. Because verbally I can say that beside our world, there are other worlds.
It makes me think about Picasso. He said, I don't develop, I am.
Yes.
That's something of this verbalizing in that.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes. Well, I don't know what he meant by that. I don't develop, I am.
I don't seek for something I have to be in the future. It's just, I am here right now.
That's right.
That's all I am.
Well, if that's what he's thinking, then that's good enough for me, because the moment that is more of greatest importance to me is the moment that is now with me. Because the last moment I cannot capture it, and the moment that is coming I cannot seize it either. So this is the only moment in which I am enjoying. And I find a lot of time listening to people, they are either telling the anecdotes from their past, or they are discussing their future plans, whereas the precious time, now and here time, is being totally ignored.
But it seems so difficult to me, because I'm very trained to think about my future, put it into words for my past. So how would you train somebody?
So it is the addiction of words. It is the preoccupation with words. We are wordoholics, so to speak. We live our lives on word level, and so just the realization that if I want to live, I have to live. I live without words. I mean, when I eat or I sleep or I amuse myself in some way, or I swim or I run or I'm feeling good inside. It's all happening at non-verbal level. That's where life is being lived, and not when I speak. When I speak, I move away from the nitty-gritty of living. Then I'm verbalizing, and this verbalizing is good as far as it is in order to communicate some fuzzy ideas regarding my condition. But if I begin to wallow in it and seek some verbal enlightenment, or looking for truth, for instance, the eternal truth, or what is truth, or ask questions like that. What is love? I'm asking questions that are not going to be answered, and thousands and thousands of people millions of people over thousands of years have dealt and tried to answer these questions and wasted their time and breath. So it's best to day.